Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Lee. In today's video, I will show you how to bootstrap and manage your NixOS server remotely. Before we start, I want to explain why you might want to consider using NixOS for your servers. Previously, I used Ansible to manage all my servers. While it worked really well, Ansible does not manage my servers declaratively. The way it applies changes to the server is imperative, meaning it is similar as a user SSH to the servers and executing commands one after another. After using NixOS as my daily driver for quite some time, I was tempted to start using it for my home servers as well. With NixOS, I know exactly how my machine is configured, and I can easily spin up a server with the exact settings I want. This is extremely useful, especially when I need to set up demo servers for my clients. While the learning curve could be a little bit steep, I believe it is worth exploring this option. Next, let me start the demo, and I will show you how to use nixos-anywhere first. Let me open my browser and go to the Proxmox UI. I'm going to create a new VM, VNID 333, name demo, and for the ISO, I'm going to use the NixOS minimum, and I'm going to assign 40 GB of hard disk, and 2 cores and 4 GB of RAM. For the networking, I need to use a specific MAC address, which I have bind an IP address to. Okay, so next, finish. Okay, so we can start the VM. Alright, it's running fine. nixos-anywhere is a tool that helps you bootstrap a server or to convert an existing server to NixOS. If you currently have a server running another operating system that is working well, I would suggest not converting it at all. My number one rule is don't touch anything that runs well when there is no security risks. Instead, I encourage you to use nixos-anywhere to bootstrap a new server, which I'm going to show you next. So once this boot up, we can do the password WD to change the password. That's done, so let me open my terminal next. Because I'm recording this video on macOS and I need a NixOS machine for using the nixos-anywhere tool, I have created a NixOS server using the op stack. So let me create a new session. For the first one, I'm going to the op stack, NixOS, and then go inside the folder. The second one, I will SSH to the VM and go inside the folder. That's done. Now we need some configuration file, right? So the first thing we need is a flake. For the flake, I have prepared a template for you. You can get it with nix flake init -t, GitHub my username, repository name, and then server. We go back to this tab and then open our editor. So we can see we have this flake.nix here. Just read a little bit of this file. We can see for the input, I've got nix pkgs pointing to the unstable channel, and we also have disco here, which is used to format our VM disks. This session is used by the nixos-anywhere tool, and the next part is for Colmena, which I'm going to show you later on. All right, so for this particular flake, it needs to import a configuration.nix. Let's create this file. Where do we get the configuration.nix from? There is a repository that we can reference. Let's go to google.com and then search for nixos-anywhere example. We are going to use this configurations.nix. Copy, paste, and we can see this file also import another file called disk-config.nix. Let's create this file, and we can copy this one from here. Let's copy again. That's done. So basically, the disk-config.nix file defines how you want to format the hard drive for your virtual machine. And the first thing we need to know is the device name, which is device SDA on this template. We can check that as well. So I have the same device name here, SDA, so I don't need to change the device name here. It also defines how you want your partitions to be formatted. We can see it has 500 megabytes for boot and the rest for the root. Okay, so let's go back to the configurations.nix. We need to change a few things here. So the first thing I need to change is the authorize key. I will use my previous blog post, nixos and intro and installations. I've got my public keys here. So copy, paste. I will change the username to my username, remove Docker, and that's it. And I also need to say this is a normal user. Okay. Next, I'm going to enable a few services. So first thing is services.qemu guest enable. And then the next one is networking. Okay, it knows what I want to do. That's great. So I just do demo. All right. The next thing I need to do is to disable the sudo password for this particular user because Colmena does not support password yet. Let's go back to the blog post and we can see disable password for sudo here. Copy, paste, and I will change my username here. And the system state version needs to be changed to 24.11 as well, which is the current latest version. All right, that looks all right. So we should be able to use the tool now. So let's go back to our terminal and go back to our server and make sure we have everything. Now we can do nix run. We can see the nix pkgs and then the nixos-anywhere is the CRI -- flake dot demo. The demo is particular here. This is the name for this particular server. nixos is the username for that session. nixos, and you can see the IP address is 192.168.3.100. Okay, so this is exactly the IP address we want to use. Apply. Okay, so that is looking good. We need to put in our password, which we set initially, and let's wait for it to complete. Okay, so we can see the installation is finished now. So we can SSH to that particular machine now. So we can do SSH demo. Okay, so that's because I have some old keys here. Let's remove it. Okay, that's done. So we can see we've got the user, we've got the host name of the machine exactly as we defined. And if we take a look at the drive, we have 500 megabytes for boot and the rest for root, right? Okay, so that's how we can use the nixos-anywhere tool to actually bootstrap a server. Next, I'm going to show you how you can use Colmena to manage this nixos server. We can go back to our editor. We can take a look at our flake and there is a Colmena session. So for these sessions, we can see there is a default setting which will be applied to all servers managed by Colmena on this flake. And this is our server. The target host is demo. Target port is 22. User build on target, set to true, which means I will build everything on my virtual machine. If your target machine is not as powerful, you can build all the things on your local host machine and then copy to the remote target. And I'm also import the Disco module and the configurations on my machine, which is similar to these sections here. And the last thing is the time zone. I'm in Melbourne, so I'm setting the time zone to Australia, Melbourne. Next, let me just show you how you can use Colmena. Let's exit from here, or maybe I should go to my OrbStack VM. Clear, and Colmena is not installed. We will use Nix shell to get the Colmena installed. And I have Colmena now. And for Colmena to work, it's very simple. Just do Colmena apply on the target machine name. Okay, it fails because it's got the key, which is the old key. That's okay. We can remove the key. Do it again. Okay, so that is working fine. So the next thing I want to show you is how you can enable some services easily. The first example, I'm going to show you how to enable Nginx on this NixOS machine. Let's go back to the configuration.nix file. And I'm going to import a new file called nginx.nix and also create this file. To enable it, it's as simple as typing services.nginx and enable equal to true. That's done, right? That's how you install the Nginx and start running as the service. But we also need some configurations for the Nginx server. I've got a simple configuration here. We can see here the worker processor. I've got 2, and then I've got a server block here, which is listening on the port 8080. And for the root, it's just returning a 200 response with hello world. That's all we need for enabling this Nginx service, but we also need to configure the firewall to allow traffic going to the port 8080. So we do networking.firewall, allow TCP port 8080. Save. Go back to our terminal. We can do Colmena apply on demo. Okay, so it's running fine. Let's check it out. So curl 192.168.3.100 port 8080. Hello world, right? So here we do -i. We can see this is exactly what we have from Nginx server. Next thing I want to show you is how you can enable a node exporter, which is very common if you need to monitor your VMs using something like Prometheus. So let's go back to our browser, go to nixos.org, click here, click the NixOS options, and let's search for node exporter. And I think that's it. So let's copy this line. Go back to the editor, go to configurations.nix. True. That's it. But we know the node exporter is configured on port 9100. To consolidate all the firewall rules onto the same file, I'm going to cut this line here, go back to configurations, paste it here, put 9100 here. Okay, let's see. Colmena apply. Okay, so that's working. Let's see. We will do 192.168, but this time it's 9100 matrix. Okay, as you can see, the node exporter is working fine. Next, I'm going to show you how you can use Home Manager with Colmena, so you can have a consistent way of configuring the, let's say, the ZHA shell for your particular user. So let's go back to our browser, go back to my blog post. And in this case, I'm going to NixOS, Flakes, and for Home Manager, I need to search for it here. So I'll just search the Home Manager part, go back to my editor, paste back into my Flake. And of course, I need the Home Manager in output as well. And I also need the Home Manager module for this particular machine. So let's go back to the modules. And the module will be called Home Manager, NixOS Modular, Home Manager. I put it here and also here. All right, so we can see we need these Home Manager sections on the configuration file. I'm going to configurations.nix, paste this in, put my username here. And it needs a file called home.nix. We are going to create that. Home.nix. All right. So on the home.nix, we need some configurations, right? So what we need is, let's see if I can find some example here. Okay, copy here, and then the username is my username. 2411. And I don't need this home manager enable as true because I'm using the home manager as a modular in this particular case. But I do want to import some ZSH configurations back to my home manager. So when I SSH to my server, so if you see currently, if I SSH is using bash, I want to use ZSH. So I will do some imports. So go back to my Safari. So imports. I think it's on a different file. That's okay. Let's go back to home manager. SSH dot here. So I will do an import. All right. So importing the apps zsh.nix. That means we need to create a folder called apps. We also need to have zsh.nix here. And of course, I need to copy that from my blog post as well. Okay, so the next thing I need is to make sure my user use that shell. So shell pkgs.ssh, and I also need to have programs.ssh .enable equal to true. All right, let's see how that works. I know it's a lot, but let's see how it works first. All right, it doesn't work. Let's see why it's complaining. Okay, so it's complaining that unexpected on the home manager side, which let's go to home.nix. Let's see. It's on the configuration side, so I think is here. All right, let's try again. Okay, so it's all done. So let's have a look. Go into the server. Wow, so you can see my current user is using ZSH and using the DST theme as well. In this way, you can have a consistent configurations for the users that you want to configure in a decorative fashion. Okay, so let's exit. The last thing I want to show you is how to use Docker on NixOS servers. You might have seen my previous video where I use traffic as the reverse proxy to expose multiple applications on the same host. I've been running all my applications on my Ubuntu servers as Docker containers for a number of years now. If you use Docker on Linux servers as I do, it is even simpler to install Docker on NixOS. All you need to do is enable it and assign the Docker group to the user. Let me show you how. We need to go back to the configurations.nix and I'll put the configuration here. Virtualization, Docker. And the next thing is the virtualization OCI, containers, backend, to be. I think I need an S here, Docker. So you can use Podman if you want to. And I also need the Docker group for the user. That's it. So let's go back to the terminal and do Colmena apply. Okay, it's working fine. Let's go to the server. Docker ps. So as we can see, you can see Docker. So let's do Docker run. Hello world. Hopefully it works. All right, so we can see that the Docker is running fine. You might be wondering, okay, if the user runs Docker compose or Docker commands on the server, does that mean part of the configurations isn't decorative? That is correct, but NixOS actually provides solutions for that. So you can actually define your Docker containers as the NixOS configurations as well. So let me show you how. I have prepared a example here. So I will just create a file here called http://bin.nix. So what we need is just to have virtualization session.oci containers, right? So it's containers.http. Okay, looks like they know what I want to do, but I'm going to paste my configurations here. All right. So it's very straightforward. So it's auto star, and then the image will be this Go HTTP image. I changed the port to 8000 and mapped the container port to the host port as well, 8000. Apparently we need to enable the port 8000 on my configurations, right? So let's go back to here, add the 8000 here as well to open the firewall. And the last thing I need is actually I want to assign this container to my user. So when you're running the OCR containers in this way, it's actually a service, right, to nixos. So we need to configure the systemd service for this particular container and assign it to my user. That's actually all we need. So let's go back to configuration and we will import this http://bin.nix. All right, so that's all I think. Let's see if I can apply it. Sorry. So currently I don't have any Docker containers running under this user. And we can do Colmena apply on. It works fine. Let's verify if it's working. So the port should be 8000. Yes, it's working great. Right, so if we do SSH demo and Docker PS, we can see that the HTTP bin, the container is running, and this user can see it. Okay, as we can see, we have built up our configuration step by step. So the next time, if you want to bootstrap a new server, and you can reference everything as I do here, the new server will be exactly as what we configure here. That's all I want to show you today. If you have any questions, please leave your comments down below, and I will try my best to get back to you. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Goodbye.